Successful research relies on an investigator's ability to turn a clinical problem into a clear and well-defined research question. In quantitative research, it is best to have one primary research question, which is the singular question that will shape the way the study is designed and ultimately carried out. This table from Tabane and colleagues summarizes the finer criteria developed by Hulley and colleagues to help the researcher determine whether a research question can and should be carried out. The finer criteria specify that research questions should be feasible, interesting, novel, ethical, and relevant. Another approach to forming quantitative research questions is the PICO approach. The PICO approach requires the researcher to specify the patient population of interest, the intervention of issue or interest, comparison with another intervention, outcome of interest, and a time frame. A description of the population may include any relevant eligibility criteria, disease or health condition studied, and geographic location. The intervention is a controlled exposure that is often new, experimental, or innovative. The comparison group is an alternative exposure or placebo, no treatment. Outcomes of interest are the patient-important or surrogate outcomes that will help us understand the effect of the intervention. Finally, the time frame is specified, which indicates how long the study will be carried out. Designing a qualitative research question can be a process. Once you have a topic area in mind, the first step in designing qualitative research is to research your chosen topic or conduct a literature review to learn what has been discovered about it and if it should be studied. When a topic and a sample have been chosen and sufficient background research has been done, it is time to start brainstorming a research question. This can be difficult with qualitative research, as your question may evolve when learning new information from participants. Due to this, it is advised by Bogdan and Bicklin to start with a general question in mind and then let the question or questions evolve as you learn more about the topic. This is one way to design qualitative central and sub-questions. There is usually only one central question, followed by one or more sub-questions. These sub-questions are based on potential leads and other areas the researcher may believe will be relevant to the topic. These questions are subject to change as the study progresses and the researcher uncovers more information. Another simple way to think about how qualitative research questions can be created is by using the PS model. P refers to the patient, person, participants, population, and S refers to the situation. A research question following the PS model may look like this. How do nurses in their first 3 years of work experience symptoms of burnout in the workplace? Research questions may evolve as you may not know all the variables of the phenomenon you are studying before you start studying it. This evolution can happen if the initial research question does not seem to cover all of the relevant findings of the phenomenon under study. The researcher may find a new lead in data collection that warrants further investigation, and therefore a reframing of the research question. Consider the example of nurses and burnout in the workplace. What if, after several interviews, we found that symptoms of burnout were mainly stemming from bullying in the workplace? We could evolve the research question or questions to incorporate how bullying is experienced or how it is leading to symptoms of burnout. For example, how do nurses in their first 3 years of work experience burnout symptoms in relation to bullying in the workplace? During this process, it is important to understand your assumptions as a researcher, as the researcher is the primary interpretive instrument of data collection and analysis. This is a reflexive process that involves learning about your biases, values, personal background, history, culture, socioeconomic status, and your ontological and epistemological assumptions. Creswell discusses making these known early on in the study during the research proposal. He suggests introducing the philosophical worldview proposed in the study, also known as the paradigm used, a definition of the basic considerations of that worldview, and an explanation of how that worldview shaped their approach to research. This information is very important to your research question as it shapes the assumptions about the answers you are getting. Now that you have your topic, your research question ideas, and the knowledge about your own assumptions, it is time to choose a methodology. You want to choose a methodology that fits with your intended purposes of the study. For instance, are you looking at social processes? Then you would likely use grounded theory as it is used to study social processes. You will also need to know if the chosen methodology fits well with your paradigm assumptions. The next step is to choose your research methods. How will you go about collecting and analyzing your data within your chosen methodology? Will you interview or observe, read articles in journals, or narratives from participants? If you choose to interview, will the questions be open-ended? Your chosen method should fit well with your methodology, and many methodological guidelines are available that discuss these and give suggestions, such as ethnography using observational methods more than other methodologies might, and grounded theory employing thematic coding strategies. Once all this information is set, you now have a research question and a thoughtful methodological way of trying to answer that question.